Hello and welcome to my top 10 urban legends. Number 10, Killer in the Back Seat. This one goes one of two ways. First, a woman is driving at night and suddenly the car behind her flashes its lights periodically and even goes as far as to ram her car. When she gets home, she discovers a killer was in her back seat, and the person who was flashing the lights was trying to scare the killer every time he rose up to attack the woman. The second is a woman stops at a gas station and the attendant asks her to come inside, normally due to a credit card issue. Sometimes she fears the attendant is going to harm her and leaves, but other times she goes inside and is asked if she knows that she has an extra passenger in the back seat. Number 9, Papa's Garden. This is actually not scary at all, and in fact is quite touching. An old man writes his son, who is in jail, that he is getting too old to plant his tomatoes this year and could really use his son's help, but knows that he can't. The son writes back to him, telling him not to try to plant anything because the garden is where he buried the bodies. Due to the jail screening all communication, the FBI show up to the dad's house and dig up the garden looking for the bodies. They turn up nothing and leave empty-handed. Later that day, the old man gets another letter from his son saying, "Now you can plant your tomatoes. That is the best I can do for the resources that I have." Number 8, Missing Boyfriend. A couple go out to park one night, but hear on the radio a killer is on the loose. At one point, the boyfriend leaves the car to relieve himself. The girlfriend starts hearing scratching and banging on the roof of the car, and she begins to panic. She starts the car and tries to leave, but the car won't move. Every time she revs the engine, the scratching gets louder and louder. Finally, she gets the car loose, only later to realize that the killer had hung her boyfriend above the car, and every time she moved forward, she was hanging her boyfriend higher and higher. The scratching was his feet trying to keep himself up. Number 7, Friendly Phone Number. A woman moved due to the pain of recently losing her friend in a car accident. While going through her things, she found an old address book, and for closure's sake, she decided to call her friend's old phone number. To her shock, her dead friend picked up and immediately started up a conversation. At one point, her dead friend asked why she hadn't called her for a long time. The question kept getting avoided, but it kept being repeated, until finally the friend says, "Because you died 5 months ago." And suddenly the phone went dead. In a fright, the woman redialed the number, only to have a pizza place answer the call. Number 6, Ghost Handprints. A couple in a car approach a railroad crossing where a school bus full of children had been killed when a train hit it years prior. As soon as they start to cross, the car dies. No matter what they do, they can't get the car to restart. Suddenly they see a train coming and is getting closer and closer. They even feel the earth start to shake. Before the train hits the car, it starts to roll forward and safely out of the way of the train. When they get out of the car to thank whoever saved their lives, no one is there. But they soon notice many child-sized, glowing handprints on the trunk of their car. Number 5, Unwanted Hitchhiker. This story actually is set around my neck of the woods a lot, and I'm not sure if it is local or if it is well known. Supposedly, if you are driving at night and approach a certain underpass, if you honk your horn while going through it, something odd will happen. After you get out from under the tunnel, you will look over and there will be a ghost of an old woman sitting in your passenger seat. If you just keep driving, she will haunt your house, as well as if you talk to her, she will follow you forever. They say the only way to get rid of her is to go back to the tunnel immediately. Some have also reported when they tried this stunt that they don't see her, but they smell either mothballs or potpourri really strongly in the car. Number 4, Stick Man. A boy really enjoyed making flip books. He was really proud of a 50-page book that simply showed a stick man walking from the left, stopping in the middle, waving, and then walking to the right. He grew tired of the book and put it under his bed. Months later, he was cleaning his room when he found the book again and decided to flip through it. This time, when the stick man got to the center, a second stick man walked out and graphically killed the first. He then used the other stick man's parts to start spelling something on the page. When he finished, the boy read in horror what he had spelled, and it said, "You're next." Number 3, turn on the lights. 2 college students were in their dorm when a pact was made that if one returned home and the lights were out, to not turn them on since it meant they were not alone. One night, the one student returned home to find the lights off and decided to go to bed to stay out of their roommate's business. During the night, the roommate heard banging sounds and muffled screams. Just figuring the roommate was getting lucky, they continued trying to get to sleep. In the morning, the student was shocked to find the roommate was dead, and written on the wall in blood was, "Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the lights?" Number 2, humans can lick too. Parents decided to leave their daughter home alone for the first time. Everything is going great for the daughter with her newfound freedom. At night, she lays down in bed with her German Shepherd. She falls asleep but is awoken suddenly by a dripping noise coming from the bathroom. She is too afraid to turn on the lights or check out the sound, and she also realizes that her dog is no longer in bed, but just figures that it is sleeping underneath the bed where it usually does. So she puts her hand down and is comforted by a lick on the fingers. All through the night, the dripping keeps up, and each time she reaches for the reassuring lick. Finally, she falls asleep, and when she awakes in the morning, she reaches for her dog under the bed, but it isn't there. She goes to the bathroom to check out the dripping noise. To her horror, she sees her dog hanging by the bathtub dead, and written on the wall in its blood is, "Humans can lick too." Number 1, the clown statue. A couple decided to go out on a date, so they hired a babysitter for the night. When the babysitter arrived, the parents left. After the children had gone to bed, the babysitter went into the living room to watch TV, but became unnerved by a clown statue in the room. No matter what she did, the statue just kept sticking in her mind. His eyes almost followed her wherever she went. Finally getting fed up, she decided to call the parents to see if it would be okay for her to move the statue, or at the very least to put a blanket over it. Suddenly the phone went quiet for a second, and the parents told her to grab the kids and get out now and get to the neighbor's house. They told her to call them back when they got to safety. Once there, the babysitter called the parents back, and they told her they were coming home and already had called the police because they didn't own a clown statue. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you in the next video. Be safe. Later.